So, what if the most famous books ever written had this hidden layer of meaning, a secret language made not of words, but of numbers? Today we're diving into a really fascinating source that argues this is exactly the case. The whole idea is that just beneath the surface of these ancient scriptures, there's a complex mathematical cipher, a kind of divine fingerprint hidden in plain sight. The source we're looking at makes a really powerful claim, and it zeroes in on one of the most famous sentences ever written. It poses this wild question: what if the opening line of the Bible isn't just a statement of faith, but a precisely engineered mathematical object? Okay, so in the original Hebrew, this seemingly simple sentence is supposedly the bedrock for an incredible series of numerical patterns. Yeah, on the surface, it's the story of creation. We all know it. But according to our source, the real marvel is in its mathematical architecture. All right, so the first layer of this whole code is surprisingly simple. The verse in its original Hebrew is made up of exactly 7 words. And as you're about to see, the number 7, which, often stands for divine perfection, isn't just a coincidence. It's a theme, and it keeps popping up. So let's dig a little deeper. We find out that those 7 words are built from exactly 28 letters. And 28, well, it's not just a multiple of 7. In the world of math, it's actually what's called a perfect number. Its divisors all add up to itself. Is that a coincidence? Well, the argument here is that no. It's the first real hint of an intelligent design. And this is where it gets really wild. Using an ancient system, the total numerical value of those 28 letters adds up to, get this, 2,701, a huge, specific number. But wait, how can a sentence even have a numerical value?
Right! That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to get how this works, we've got to unlock the ancient system that makes it all possible.
So the source breaks it down into 3 basic ideas, 3 keys really, that let us read this hidden language of numbers.
Okay, so it all kicks off with this ancient idea that numbers themselves actually have meaning. They're not just for counting, they're cosmic principles. Then you've got the second key, which is absolutely crucial. In languages like Hebrew and Greek, letters were the numbers, Aleph was 1, Bet was 2, just like that. And that leads to the third and most important piece of the puzzle. If letters are numbers, then you can actually calculate the value of any word or sentence. You just add them up.
And this whole system, it has a name. It's called Gematria. Basically, it's a way of looking for these deep, hidden connections between different ideas by seeing if they share numerical values. You can almost think of it like a kind of textual algebra.
Okay, so now we've got the keys. Let's see how they're actually used to unlock some of the most famous and infamous numbers and names in these sacred texts. So let's put this cipher into action. We'll start with one of the most sacred names out there, the Hebrew name for God, made up of those 4 letters we call the Tetragrammaton.
Okay, so using Gematria, the numerical value of God's name comes out to 26. So how do we get there? Let's break it down.
So if you look at the letters, Yod has a value of 10, He is 5, Vav is 6, and that final He is another 5. You add them all together, 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5, and boom, you get 26. So in this system, the number 26 becomes totally intertwined with the very idea of the divine.
But it's not just about single values, Gematria is really about relationships. And the source we're looking at points out this really powerful symbolic clash, a kind of battle of good versus evil, all told through numbers.
So on one side, you've got the infamous 666. In the book of Revelation, it's called the number of man, right? It's a symbol of ultimate human imperfection. But then, on the other side, if you use Greek Gematria, the name Jesus, or Iesus in the Greek, adds up to 888. So you get this incredible symbolic showdown. 666, man's fallen nature, against 888, representing the divine and a new beginning. And all of this starts to build this consistent symbolic language. 6 is tied to man, created on the 6th day. 7 is all about divine completion. Think 7 days of creation. 8 comes to mean a new beginning, since the resurrection happened on what was essentially the 8th day. And the number 40, well, that consistently shows up to mean a period of trial and testing. Okay. So after seeing all these examples, you have to ask, what are we supposed to make of all this? What's the big takeaway from these super intricate numerical patterns?
Well, the source we're examining argues for a pretty profound conclusion. It says these aren't just random coincidences. No way. They're an intentional, hidden layer of meaning, kind of like getting a glimpse into the author's grand design. So the main idea here is that this whole numerical structure is like a divine author's signature. It's a kind of watermark, an example of intelligent design that, according to the source, points to something way beyond just human authorship. And that leaves us with the big question, the one that's really at the heart of all this. Are these patterns a genuine divine fingerprint embedded in the text, or are they a powerful reflection of our own very human need to find patterns and meaning in the world around us? The source makes a compelling case, but ultimately, that's a question each of us has to explore for ourselves.